Hello and a warm welcome everyone. Welcome back to my channel Anamesk. I know I've been gone for a really long time and that was because life interrupted and I had so many things to do, but I did attend Kolkata Literary Festival. I'm going to upload the video for that. I've already done that on my Instagram, but I'm also going to upload it here so that you can get to experience that through virtually experience it. So that's there. But I have come here because what is life without books? So I've come here to talk about the books that I have bought. So my first 2024 book haul, and why am I reading those books? So that's there. And I know that I'm supposed to do my word of the day, but I'm coming up with something exciting about it as well. Something new, something exciting. And before we venture into book haul and the reason for the book haul, and before I try to convince you to read those books as well, or why should you even be thinking of buying those books, I am also going to mention one or two books which I'm reading, ebooks which I'm reading, which I do not have a physical copy of, but I am perhaps going to purchase them and get them as well. But before I venture into that, all I want to say is these are the books that I like. So you might like it, you might not like it, and that's there. All I'm going to do is to try and convince you to like it, maybe, or to read it, maybe. That's all I can do. And even if you're not reading, it's fine, but I hope at some point you do, because these are amazing books. And obviously since I'm a slow reader, so I don't think that I will be able to give you reviews or anything of these books soon. For me, I think content creation is not about putting up one thing or random thing every other day, but rather putting up good content. And it takes time, because if you're researching, if you're reading, if you're doing stuff like that, I'm still researching for a video that I'm supposed to put up, although the video was taken I think in 2023, and even I think it was somewhere in September 2023, but I'm yet to still complete my research for that video. So I think good things takes time. So for me, if you're following me, thank you first of all for that, for listening to my stupid, and which might seem stupid to some certain people, but which is not stupid for me. Thank you for listening to that. But what I think my focus here is on my social media, is to create content which is meaningful, which takes time. So I'm a slow person, so that's there. Now coming to one content which I'm putting it out there is the book haul, or the book that I've bought in 2024. Now this one you already know about, I think, I hope. Yeah, this one I think you already know about. This is, and I'm going to show you this book in detail as well, because I feel that this book deserves a video of its own. The beauty of this book, the illustration of this book, which is done by, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name properly, Bea Rabai. It deserves a video of its own, which I'm definitely going to put up soon, because beautiful illustration of this beautiful book. So this is the book that I bought, I think 1 or 2 months before, in January, or maybe in December, but still I'm including it into my 2024 book. Now this is a book which is my forever book, which means this is a book that I want to dissect and go through. And as I said, I also put up this video where I talked about this book, and I want to talk about Doreen and Esther's relationship, because I think that that's important. So I'm going to do that as well. So this is the book which is, again, needs no introduction, but still, if there's someone who needs an introduction to this book, if you are someone, for instance, one of my other books which I have been reading but which I didn't buy this year, All the Bell Jar, also I have been reading since a really long time, but I bought this particular edition this year. Another book that I was talking about is Circe by Madeline Miller. So as a reader, I'm quite interested in female relationships and female psyche, and what do they go through, and how do you enrich it, how do you capture it, because I feel as someone who's trying to get to know that and put it somewhere in, voila, in my own work, because here I'm just going to cue in and say I myself am writing a book. Let's see how that goes. So yeah, so let's see. Anyways, this is actually a really big vital information. I do not share it with people because I do not know how it's going to turn out to be. And obviously but I'm very near to the completion of my first draft, but obviously I think it might take 15 years more for me to complete it, so no idea. But somewhere that first draft, I'm almost just 15% left with my first draft. So as a writer and as a reader, I'm quite interested in, and that's one of the themes of my book as well. So I'm quite interested in the relationship between women. So that is why not only does this book is a book which explores the relationship. If you are someone who likes to read about these kind of things, then you should definitely go ahead and give Beljar a read. A complex, complicated book, but quite enriching. As much as you love Dostoevsky and his Crime and Punishment, so it has the same flair. Not exactly, I'm not saying Dostoevsky was writing in a different setting, with different set of people, with dire circumstances. Here the circumstances are not that, at least on the surface level, but that psychological impact of what female friendships are all about, female go through, is so very enriching. So you should definitely read it if you haven't read this one so far. And you should definitely get this edition. I mean, you can get any edition you want, but if you are someone who can get a hand on this edition, and if you're someone who loves beautiful books and illustrated books like me, then definitely get your hands on this one. It will be, trust me, I'm also a person who struggle with finances and books and other stuff. Being adulting is hard, but still it's a good investment. Definitely. Now, I don't think any year of my life would be completed without John Keats. John Keats is someone I always return back to. So most of my writers, I'm not again one of those people who randomly switch to read a book, go through it, give you a review and be done with it. I don't live in that fast paced world. I'm sorry, I'm living under the rock, and I prefer to live under the rock. So another poet that I return back to, and again going back to again and again, and from a person that I can learn a lot, I have learned a lot and I'm still learning, is John Keats. So when I saw that there was this person from whom I could get who was selling a second-hand copy of John Keats's poems, I was like, why not? Because I already have the Penguin cloth bound, but since it's Penguin cloth bound, it's a little shorter in size, smaller in size, and it's hardbound. So that's why it has its own beauty. But I feel like I should also have another copy where I can annotate and do stuff and things like that. So here it is, John Keats's selected poems. Now, why should you read John Keats? You should read John Keats if you want to get inspired. You should read John Keats if you want to get that sensation, that 18th century nature, that sensation, that evocation. And if you're interested in Greek classics and Greek myths, because that's what John Keats does. He brings all, not just John Keats, but other people at that point of time were doing that as well. But specifically John Keats, he brings that. So I think you should definitely give John Keats at least his odes. I'm sure the longer poems might be a little bit of problem, or maybe some people might not like to read it, but I think you should definitely give his odes a read, because his odes were written in a period of time when he himself was going through a lot of tumultuous situation, but despite that, he ends up writing such beautiful poetry that which we can still relate to. I think I am a poem a day. In a poem a day, I think I've talked about this only. I've talked about his poem and how it relates to the struggles that we are going through. So it's quite relevant, it's not irrelevant. So just go ahead. If you do not believe, just I'll try to, you know, do that pin somewhere here there video thing if I can do. Again, since I live under the rock, I don't think I'm very organic. I don't know whether I can do that, pin it here, over there, here, over there, or anywhere else on the screen. If I can do it, great. If I cannot do it, I might seem young, but I think I'm a grandma. If I cannot do it, then if you're interested, then definitely go and watch that video and you'll understand the relevance of John Keats more beautifully. So here it is. Actually, this is I've been so busy that I didn't even get to, you know, go through the whole thing. Yeah. And it's actually annotated by the previous person, so that's actually beautiful, but not much. A little bit here and there. I wonder who this person was. So that's the thing I think about loved books, that, you know, you always wonder that where has it traveled from and what is its journey. Anyhow, the next book that I'm going to talk about is a book that I feel almost everyone should read on this planet. First of all, because the author is amazing. Her life fascinates me so very much, because she is someone who does not want to take the center stage. She is someone who does not want the light to be upon her. She is someone who just wants her work to speak for me. So I'm speaking about none other than Elena Ferrante, and we don't even know if her name is Elena Ferrante, and so she's, you know, she's that kind of person. So not a lot is known about her identity, except that she might be a professor and she writes books and stuff like that. But what she writes is so amazing. If you have read Sylvia Plath's Bell Jar, and if you have read Circe, then I think you'll definitely like Elena Ferrante. You love Elena Ferrante. I mean, they have also made a series on this. I mean, the way through which I discovered Elena Ferrante was when I saw the series on HBO, which was called My Brilliant Friend, and I loved how she shows through her work how she actually captures the essence of complex female friendship in this whole, you know. Just a second. Now look at me. And it will give you a feeling of, you know, that as well. What is that called? Dostoevsky kind. I mean, I'll always mention Dostoevsky because Dostoevsky is another one of my favorite writers, authors. So again, so very similar, but not exactly psychological in that way. However, so she talks about, again, that name slips from my head. Just a second. Just a second. I know. I am a person like that. Yeah. So she talks about basically, and obviously she writes in. Just a second, guys. Somewhere I'm confused. Oh, wow, that's who I am. Just a second, guys. Yeah, so she writes in Italian and it gets translated by her translator, and she's Anne Goldstein. Actually, her translator is Anne Goldstein, and she writes about Naples in Italy, and it's a beautiful, like, if you want to read about something like, you know, if you have liked Normal People by Sally Rooney, then you'd like Elena Ferrante as well. If you haven't been if you still haven't read Elena Ferrante's work, I love the cover. That's another thing that I want to add, that I love the cover of the book, and it's basically about two friends, two female, and what is the journey. And it's actually a set of, I think, four 4 novels. It's a set of 4 novels. I have read, I think, 2. I am yet to read other 2, but before reading the other 2, I really want to, again, as a source of inspiration for my book, and I also want to just go ahead and just read it again to get the essence, because I feel it's one of those books that actually grows with you, and every time you return back, and the way, the age or the stage of life you are in, you get something new from it, and you understand it at a more deeper level. So obviously, if I am to talk about female friendships and books about female friendships and about the complexity that such women characters hold, then definitely I think I would put Elena Ferrante after Sylvia Plath. I'll definitely put her. So yeah, that's it. And she has been loved by a lot of people, that other people that general readers, or like readers you love, like Zadie Smith has loved her work. I mean, Jhumpa Lahiri has loved her work. So in case if you're new to her and still need more convincing, then yeah, that's me just putting in these names of these famous writers so that you would read this book. Please do. I don't think it needs any introduction, but still, as a reader and a writer, I'm supposed to promote my favorite writers. Now, while talking about reading and coming back to reading, I would also like to it's winter, so tea. I mean, I cannot just survive without tea and hot beverages. That's how I survive winter here in my city. Okay, coming to, I don't know if you can see this vapor, but if you can see, then I hope you also have a warm winter. Coming to writers that you go back to again and again, or whose essence I think you understand only with your age, only when you grow up, only with the maturity, is Jane Austen. I mean, when I was young, honestly, I did not like Jane Austen. I was like, what is she writing about? She's writing on marriage. Because the first time I read Pride and Prejudice in my university, I think in my college, undergraduate, UG days, I did not like it. I was like, what is she writing about? Virginia Woolf is... Why is Virginia Woolf praising Austen though? Wow, Virginia Woolf is so much, more profound. Yes, she's more profound than Jane Austen. But then I grew up and I realized this woman is amazing, because at my university level, my master's level, I think I studied what is that called? I studied Mansfield Park. Yeah, Mansfield, and I loved Mansfield Park. I loved the character of Fanny. If my memory serves me well, I'm sure it's Fanny who's the center character, who's the central protagonist, who's the character. I loved her, and I loved the way Austen treats her, and the way she navigates through the Bertram family. So I really like that, and that made me actually go on this journey where I want to read Austen again with a little less judgmental lens, because I think my naivety actually made me not understand her essence. I couldn't comprehend how amazing an author she is. So here it is, and I'm very happy that I got this second-hand thrift edition, because second-hand edition from a thrift store, because like this edition, because this is your Norton Critical edition, which actually has all of those social background. And I mean, it's a Norton Critical, again I might be advertising Norton Critical edition, but for those of you who do not know, I mean, I think most of the literature students know that Norton Critical edition is a treasure, and it's also expensive, so most of us cannot actually get this, and even now I could not get it. I mean, I got it second hand, but most of us cannot afford it because it's so expensive, at least at that point of time. Even at this point of time, I think maybe it is it's maybe not that expensive, but still it's a treasure to come across in a second-hand bookshop and you want to get your hands on it. So Norton Critical Edition is amazing because it gives you all the socio-cultural background and history. It also tells you about what other scholars have written. So after reading the book, you get more in-depth idea about the work, which is amazing if you want to understand the work in a more better way. But if you just want to breeze through it, you could get any edition. But if you want to get into more deeper understanding, then these editions are amazing. And I don't think Jane Austen needs any introduction. I think after Bridgerton, a lot more people might have. I mean, before Bridgerton also, I think people were reading Austen. Bridgerton doesn't have much to do with this, but maybe it has something to do with it. So obviously the reason I mentioned Bridgerton is because it's similar Regency era. So yeah, this is the author that I want to return back to and I want to read, and I would take my own sweet time to read her. It's not that I'm not in a rush, not in a hurry, because I want to get the whole essence of it. Now, another book that I think I got while shopping for Jane Austen is Charles Dickens. Again, another of my favorite writers. So as you can see, I'm one of those people who is stuck with a group of writers and I just return back to them again and again, because I do not like to explore. Maybe I do, but I don't like peer pressure. I do not give in to peer pressure. I still haven't watched Games of Thrones. So yeah, I'm one of those people. So yeah, so I've read a lot of, at the back I think you might see, if you can, Charles Dickens' A Tales of Two Cities, Great Expectation, Dombey and Sons. So I've read Charles Dickens, Oliver Twist. I've read Charles Dickens, but I haven't ever read Charles Dickens's ghost stories. So I got a little bit intrigued by it. I was like, best ghost stories, Charles Dickens. The edition looked really nice. I was like, why not just go and get it? And I got it really cheap. So like, why not just go and get it and read it? I mean, this one might be one of those books. Although Dickens, recently I think I heard Donna Tartt talking about how Dickens is a great teacher and how he can teach you a lot about writing, and which obviously fascinated me and which made me curious that what can I learn from Dickens, because she said that he teaches you really well. He shows you all of his tricks. So again, and now when I'm going to read Dickens, I'm going to read with that new information. But I also initially I planned to just read his work without not with not much of a thought, but just reading it for the sake of reading it and just going through it, not going into in-depth analysis of it, at least as of now. But I think I would do that after listening to Donna Tartt and her interview. Now, the next book that I got for myself, is a book that I wanted to buy because first of all, I got to know that Abdul Razak Gurnah is coming for the literary festival, so I wanted to get hands on a book which I could actually get it, because as a reader obviously I want to get my book signed. I have a book which is signed and get my book signed by him, so I wanted to go ahead and get a book. And also because I have heard that he's this, I am aware that he's this Nobel winner, so I wanted to read, and I read a bit about him on the internet, and so I got excited, and so I thought, why not, let's just and I was getting this book, so I was like, let's go ahead and get this book and let's see what is it about, let's read. And as I was telling, I am like, again and again same writers, but he's a new writer that I'm actually considering to read this year. So this is The Last Gift by Gurnah. So again, being very honest, I haven't read his book. Being very honest, the only thing I know, after attending his session, I know that he writes about immigration, so post-colonialism. He himself is a professor of post-colonialism in the University of Kent, I guess. So that again made me very, because those are the themes that I'm interested in. Those are the themes that as a researcher, as a scholar, I really wish to know more about and gain more knowledge about. So that's there. But so I think it's a win-win situation. And obviously the first time I'm reading it, I'm not going to read it in the way I'll read the rest of the books, which is slowly and having that in-depth, trying to get that in-depth information. This would also be, along with Dickens, I hope so, this would also be one of those books which I'll just read for the sake of reading, and then maybe get into the basics of it. And obviously I just want to show you that this is his signature. I got it, and I'm so happy that I have got a signed book. Since I've been talking about slow reading, reading in depth, taking in things in, I think I cannot do this without do this without mentioning reading, loving. I've read it, I've loved it, and I actually had an ebook of it. So again, one of those books that I had an ebook of, but then I switched to physical because obviously I thought, I cannot do without this book. I need to get my hands on a physical copy of this book. So this book is amazing if you are into fiction writing, and if you want to understand fiction writing, and if you do not want to, I mean, people who have read a lot of fiction writing books or have read popular fiction writing books, as a writer in training, you have John Gardner on the art of fiction or on the craft of fiction. So there are people like, and then you have Elements of Style by Strunk, and there are the Stephen King on writing. I think Neil Gaiman also has written a book, I think, Why Art Matters. So there are a couple of books which are there, but I think one of the books that's quite relatable, but it gives you a lot of profound knowledge, is obviously, and it has become a philosophy of my life, is Bird by Anne Lamott. So she's amazing because she gives you such valuable advice as a writer, as a young writer. And obviously, first of all, the book is beautiful. It's so beautiful. Like, you look at it. Now I only have started going through it, but yeah, it's so beautiful. I mean, yeah, it's so beautiful with a bird drawn on it. It's a really beautiful book. I don't know if my camera is doing justice to this book, but it's really beautiful book. And she writes really well, she guides you really well, she really helps you, she teaches you a lot of things. Like, the way she's divided the chapters also quite interesting, because whenever I'm writing and I feel stuck, or I feel like, maybe I lose hope or self-belief, or I feel like no, I shouldn't be doing this, should I be doing this, and stuff like that, I always return back to her book, because there's so much to learn, but there's also so much to get motivation, so much to get motivated about, or to get inspired about from her book. And I like how she has, segregated the section. Like, the part 1 is writing, and one of the chapters that I really loved from writing was when she writes about perfectionism, then writing frame of mind. And also she debunks a lot of myth, like, to be a writer you have to be so and so, to be a writer you have to be in a such a way, and you can write beautiful drafts from the very first beautiful drafts and stuff like that. And she's like, no, it's not like that. You have to be at it each and every day. You have to deal with the mess. And she herself writes, when she shares her own anecdotes, she makes it more personal and relatable. So I think a writer who is in training and who is working with their first draft or second draft, I don't know much about second draft, or first book was done, and who a writer who's done with their first book, I don't know about that. But if a writer is working with the first draft or second draft, or has not yet written a book, has not yet published a book or whatever, would definitely benefit from this. So if you're a writer and you are a writer in training, then you should definitely get your hands on this book, because it's an amazing book, I think. Right, now coming to the list, so these are the list of the books that I've planned to read. I'll be putting up a picture or a post on my Instagram with all of these books, so you can just have an overview of all of it. These beautiful books just there on your screen, or just blessing you. I don't know why am I saying blessing you, but maybe just making you feel good with their beauty. Along with that, there's another book and another writer that I really got fascinated about recently, because again that writer was writing about someone about the themes that my book deals with, which is about families and familial relationship and complex relationship. And I couldn't even open my package, so here is like I'll also be putting up a opening package haul video if you're into those, because I really like, you know, watching people cut open the package and stuff like that. So for my sake, I'm going to do that as well. But so here is that book that let's see. And so I discovered him recently, and I got really fascinated because again his theme is quite familiar to the theme that I am writing about. As I said, a familial dysfunctional family and familiar relationships. I don't think so any families actually not dysfunctional. I think most of the families are dysfunctional. So here are dysfunctional in that way. Okay, let me sanitize my hand. And I got this white, and I think I got also this pill which I'm supposed to keep. I don't know, what do you do with the bill? Do you just throw it away? Do you keep it? What do you do? I usually, I don't know, I preserve my bills. I don't know for which day, but I do that. I do not throw them away. I just keep them. Maybe when I'll come and someday I'll just chance upon them and I'll be like, yeah, you know, I bought this, I bought that, I was that person, maybe. Yeah. So again, wow, it's such a beautiful book. It's a very short book. I mean, very thin book, not short, thin book, but it's such a beautiful book. But then I guess it was his debut novel, or it was his novel after the debut novel. So that's there. So yes, this is M and Big Whom. Again, a lot of people have read this book. When this book came out, I remember on Bookstagram a lot of people were posting about it and stuff like that, but I did not do that because I do not give into peer pressure. Yes, I do not give into peer pressure. I take my own sweet time. And since again, as a writer, I think I am reading books which would inspire me, from which I could learn. So this is again one of those books that I feel I can learn, I can learn from. So I'm going to use it and learn how well and how has he done. So again, if you are, I think somewhere he's also been called being compared to Sylvia Plath. Or so again, if you are into complex relationship, if you are into relationship about vulnerability, broken families, navigating these kind of, if you also like Ocean Vuong's, again another writer that I want to read about, Ocean Vuong's and Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name properly. Ocean, I'm sure, is Ocean Vuong. I'm not sure whether that's the correct pronunciation, so pardon me if I'm making my mistake there, because I feel that people should pronounce people's names properly, keeping the cultural reference in mind. So if you like that book, if you like Sylvia Plath, if you like Cersei, then definitely you would be liking this as well, because as much, again, I was reading an e-book of it, but I really liked what I read so far, so I decided to get my hands on this one. Yeah, so these are my as I said, I'll be so these are my books. I mean, 2024 books. I think I'm going to add more to this pile, maybe, and maybe I'm being over ambitious, because I know maybe I'm not actually going to tag it as 2024 books. I'm not one of those people. These are my books. I mean, maybe I'll read them in 2024, 2025, whatever, because I wish to do justice to all of these books. And to do justice is to take time, is to give them the time, is to understand them, to feel them, to know them. And obviously, being a writer, I don't think you can easily be done with a book. You have to take your own sweet time. So that's it. So this is my 2024 book haul. I'm sure I'll add more to it. Maybe I might not end up reading those books, but I don't think I can stop myself from buying books. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and do that and post videos and try to convince you people to get those books or read those books. So yeah, here's the end of my video. I hope you like my video. I hope you are going to read it. Tell me if you have read any of these books, and what was the, what convinced you to actually. And Joe is there, he's shouting because he's like, oh, it's night time now, you have to end it. But yeah, also basically signaling me to, come to bed, and because I'm filming this at night, so it's close to my bedtime. But anyway, do tell me what convinced you to read any of these books. What was the fact, and why did you love these books? I love to know your reasons, and I love to talk to you about it as much, because some of them I have read, but some of them I'm completely new to, and I'd love to know more about it and share with you more about it as well. Till then, good night, take care, and hope to see you and meet you again. And stay strong, stay warm, and just do you be